We are back here for you on Live Now from Fox. Thanks so much again for joining us, continuing to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. One of them, no doubt, the government shutdown as it does continue. We appreciate all our viewers continuing to join us here. We are at the 2-week mark with still no end in sight. A live look at the Senate floor. We have been hearing senators speak. We've also heard from House Republicans today, House Democrats. We'll get into that in just a little bit as well. We even heard from President Trump earlier today as well. But I want to bring in a panel, a discussion, help break down everything that we are seeing with this shutdown. So we do have Cami Mondeaux with Deseret News and also Hailey Fuchs with Politico. And thanks so much again for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And first, if I could just get a sense of where we think this is going. It seems like both sides are not letting up right now, and it seems like this could go in for the long haul. So if, Cami, if you just want to start and give us your analysis here.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we, kind of enter the third week of this shutdown, it kind of seems like we've made no progress from where we are when we started. We had those same 3 Democrats in the Senate who flipped on the CR, and it's just been those same 3 each time. We haven't seen any movement that Republicans were hoping to see in the beginning. But as right now, the Senate will vote again tomorrow. They're going to try and vote on some other procedural votes to get some of those other spending bills moving, and then they will leave for the weekend. So we're kind of stuck in the same cycle of bringing up this GOP CR, it failing, and then the Senate leaving for the day.
Yeah, it definitely feels like we're in this, just back and forth right now. Hailey, we heard from President Trump earlier today as well, but again, he is continuing to put the pressure on Democrats by really threatening to see if more layoffs will be happening in the federal government.
So it really doesn't seem that either Democrats or Republicans are kind of feeling the heat at this moment. It seems that both sides kind of feel like that the other one is kind of feeling the blame right now. And so it doesn't seem going into the weekend that there really are any talks that are heating up.
And what about the talk? I know there's some talks this weekend, big protest happening really all across the country with the No Kings protest. Earlier in the week, we heard from some Republicans saying that they feel that Democrats want this to continue on because they'll have a lot of talking points this weekend. Is there any truth to that, Cami?
Yeah, Republicans have been bringing up that rally saying that, Democrats, after that's over, might come back to the negotiating table and want to reopen the government. But the way that, Republican leaders, particularly in the House, are framing this protest is saying that, there are progressive Democrats who are pressuring leaders like Chuck Schumer to keep the government closed. It's not really clear if that's really going to make a difference by the end of the weekend. We don't even know if any of these Democrats will participate in these rallies. It seems like, we're still stuck just in these Democratic talking points. If you need to get an agreement on health care, you need to get an agreement on rescissions. And so it's not really totally related, but Republicans are saying that's a date where we might start to see some things change.
Now, as this continues to go longer, Hailey, who has more pressure as the days and weeks continue to roll on? Is it Democrats or Republicans?
I think time's really only going to tell, who feels the pressure here. I think that, as time goes on, we're going to start to see, potentially TSA agents not showing for work who aren't getting paid. And people are going to start to feel kind of the impacts of the government being shut down. At that point, kind of voters will decide who they want to blame.
And today, President Trump said that military would be getting paid this Friday. How are those funds coming to be for the military?
I believe that Trump put money forward that allows troops to be paid for the next foreseeable future, but it's not a long-term fix.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what worries so many, especially our military families right now. For Democrats, let's talk a little bit about their rallying cry right now. Talking about health care is really the main focus. What is actually in this where they feel that is not going to be there if they don't try to get a deal right now?
So right now on the healthcare front, it's not really attached to the government spending legislation that's on the table. They're more so worried about these tax subsidies that could expire separate from this legislation. But what they want right now is language ensuring that it won't expire. They're wanting insurances that, Republicans will negotiate on those. Republicans are saying that's completely separate. It does not belong in this piece of legislation, which is why we're not seeing those talks right now. So they are kind of completely separate issues, but they're absolutely intertwined at the moment because Democrats just say they don't trust Republicans to actually pass these spending bills and actually keep their word that that spending will actually continue since Trump is, going through and trying to slash spending wherever he can.
And, right now there is also in Arizona a Democrat that is really in holding right now, waiting to be officially confirmed here in the House. Why isn't this happening right now? Even though that they are not in session, can it still be done? Or is the Republicans saying completely true on that fact that they have to wait until we get back in session here?
Certainly Johnson could swear in Grijalva, but it's also a point of leverage that Republicans have right now in these negotiations to get the government open.
And we'll see when this eventually will happen here. But again, President Trump really talking today and really taking a lot of questions about the shutdown. But it feels like, and I want you to really describe the feeling here of this shutdown, because it doesn't seem like either side right now is in a big rush or has the threats politically to get this done, say, next week.
Right. And I think if you look at the polling, at least from the last 2 weeks, the voters are very split on who to blame in this situation. So Republicans and Democrats, neither side is really dominating the messaging there. Both are delivering a message that voters are receptive to. And because of that, neither side is really wanting to give up any of their talking points or any of their demands because it's seeming to receive so well with their own base. And so that's why you're not seeing anyone want to give up anything or want to have any compromises, because it's not seeming like politically that's even the way to go if they're going to be winning in this way.
Yeah, and let's just say this ends in a couple of weeks. For the voters, for the midterms, will they even remember this?
I think if past is prologue, voters likely won't remember this. There isn't a ton of evidence that voters kind of remember the stuff going into the midterms. The midterms are also more than a year out, so we got some time here before voters head to the polls again.
Yeah, it would feel like politically, if we were in the midterm year right now and the elections were in November, this would be a much different story right now. But it seems like with over a year out, there's some time where it feels the political pressure not fully right there. Lastly here, Cami and Hailey, what are your final thoughts here leading into next week? Does it look like we get any closer next week, or does it look like still the same ping pong going back and forth and really nothing getting done? Cami, I'll start with you.
I think we're going to see this be prolonged a little bit longer, especially because, Democrats' main argument here is the healthcare situation. That open enrollment opens on November 1st. Once that happens, people are going to start getting notices that their healthcare premiums are going to go up without any action. And they think that is going to be a real messaging point that voters are going to start to see that what they're saying makes sense. And what they're saying is absolutely a reason to keep the government closed until they get a deal. And so you could see that, we're only about 2 weeks away from that. Democrats, if they've made it this far, will probably want to go up until that deadline when open enrollment opens. From there, I guess we'll see if, that kind of moves the table a little bit.
And Hailey, final thoughts?
Reporting the Hill, it does kind of feel a little bit like every day is Groundhog's Day. We're seeing them voting the same thing every day. And it does seem this is going to drag on for a little bit longer if,
There we go. Yeah, we will wait and see. Really appreciate it, Cami and Hailey. Thank you for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And as they always say, the saga continues. We'll wait and see for another week. We appreciate it right here on Live Now from Fox, as always.